بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Inshallah, we continue with the Tafseer of Surah Al-Baqarah. But before we do that, let's inshallah just look at a summary. Let me turn the laptop so I can see how this looks on the laptop. Okay. So let's summarize the Surah Al-Baqarah. So inshallah, what we will do is Surah Al-Baqarah, let's summarize it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the participants to join in at this point for a few minutes through audio. And I want somebody to start us off. What is Surah Al-Baqarah about? Anybody in the audience? Online. Has to be summarized and very succinct, yeah? Not long as we say, not long speech, please. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah bilal Sheikh.
Ji Sheikh. We can start, inshallah. Surah Al-Baqarah is comprised of Iman, Islam, Shahada al-Nas, Infaq, Jihad.
Excellent. Jazakallah khairan. What else, brother? How do you link all this? Anybody, brother Bilal or anybody else?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Sheikh Muslim.
It is linked to Surah Fatiha, where Allah has mentioned Ghayril Maghdubi alayhim waladdallin.
And how is the link?
Allah has explained the guidance in the surah, and also Allah has explained Bani Israel, their situation.
Okay, good, very good, mashallah. Bani Israel as Maghdub alayhim. Excellent. Why do we think that Maghdub alayhim have been mentioned here? Anyone?
Because the responsibility given to them, they basically could not fulfill.
Very good. So they were given the role of Shahada al-Nas, they didn't do it. Therefore Allah Ta'ala, He is mentioning them for whose benefit? Our benefit. Very good. Any other points anybody would like to make?
I would say that they were given the message and they did not follow the message, and they went against the message. And they killed the messengers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained all of their disobediences and the wrongdoings, which means that if we follow that, then what happened to them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned that. So we should take lessons.
Absolutely. We should learn from the lessons of Bani Israel, because the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ says that you will resemble the Bani Israel just as one shoe resembles the other. So we need to be aware of that. One thing that you mentioned, Sheikh, is that you said they killed the messengers.
Prophets, not messengers. They couldn't kill the messenger.
Very good.
Yes. Because messenger is representative of Allah and he cannot be killed. So the prophets, the An-Nabiyyin, they kill the prophets, yes.
Jazakallah khair. Very nice. Hayakallah. So yes, and we are looking at now this. Any brother or sister wants to add anything? Summary of this surah that you think would be useful for everyone? Khair. So, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Can we say the last few ayat dealing with the ahkam is more around the Islam?
Yes, for sure. In fact, the ayat, Islam really is within ahkam, if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, because Islam is now to follow, isn't it? Obey Allah's hukum, obey Allah's decree, His law, His legislation. So yes, for sure, absolutely yes. So we have been going through this surah. We have looked at this. It's very important for us to remind ourselves of this, to be sure that what we are doing is the correct thing. To understand the surah, that this surah is revealed in the beginning of Medina's period, after the Hijrah, to give a very clear instruction and guidance at every level. This is the beauty of this surah. If we inshallah appreciate this, and we would be grateful to Allah for His guidance, He has touched all those areas that were needed, subhanallah, in this surah, to build a strong foundation of this ummah until the last day. Allahu Akbar. This is called strategic management, or strategic foundation laying. That the foundation, very strong foundation in Iman, in Allah first and foremost. In this surah, we will find that regarding Allah, the Iman in Allah. So you should study the surah again and again. Brothers and sisters, I keep emphasizing, you are missing out. Wallahi, you are missing out. If you don't do this, you're missing out. You know what you're missing out on? The best enjoyment on this earth. The best enjoyment on this earth. We are missing out if we are not doing this. You should read the whole surah in one go. And you may think, oh my God, he's gone mad. He's gone crazy. Now, with this in mind, sit, book yourself, for I don't know how long it will take, whoever, it depends, everyone's different speed. Book yourself for that many hours somewhere and just sit and just read the whole surah in one go. Whole surah. And you will see all of this beautifully linking one thing to the other, and then further bringing us from darkness of ignorance into the light of guidance. Where you find Iman in Allah has been mentioned initially as U'budu Rabbakum. Allah has been mentioned as Rabb in the beginning of the surah. And then Allah Ta'ala's Rabubiyyah, His ayat, signs, have been mentioned in the ayat which is known as Ayatul Ayat. Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ard. What is the next, Abdullah? No, in this surah, Al-Baqarah. Ayatul Ayat. وَتَجْرِي فِي الْبَحْرِ وَالْفُلْكِ الَّتِي تَجْرِي. Until the end of the surah, these are the signs. You should make a note of what I'm saying. I remember sitting and reading many books, many hours, different scholars who have given their summary of Surah Al-Baqarah, and I sat and I took notes and I took notes and I took notes and I took notes and I took notes. And wallahi, they were the best moments of my life. Best moments. The most happiness they gave me then. And whenever I think of that, they give me the most happiness. If you want to be happy, this is the recipe for happiness. Sit and note down, focus 100% on this, and you will be the most happiest person, most fulfilled. So ayat of Allah Ta'ala's Rububiyyah given initially, then slowly it's moving towards Islam. Starts with the fitrah, yes, Rabb. Then Allah Ta'ala's ayat in the benefit He's giving to you. Then udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Then you will enter into His worship and submission fully because you appreciate Him to be who He is. Kama huwa. Then we will see further coming up Iman Billah, Ayatul Kursi. Beautiful ayat which you can analyze into 10 different statements, the one ayah, and you appreciate who Allah Ta'ala is, Al-Ali Al-Azim. And then in the same surah, in the beginning, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. So this attachment to Allah is based on love, immense love and intense love, appreciation, great gratitude. Washkuru li, Allah Ta'ala mentions zikr and shukr, attached with Allah. And then wasta'inu bis sabri was salat, link with Allah through patience and salah, and so on and so forth. You see beautifully Allah Ta'ala, He has built the foundations in the believers, their love, their obedience, their submission to Allah. And they know inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un in this surah. They know we came from Him, we go back to Him. So the heart of the believer is never happy on the earth. The heart of the believer, when the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, kun fid dunya ka'annaka gharib. Live in this life as if you are not attached to it. You don't feel attached to this life. Your attachment is to your real source, which is Allah. The real source is Jannah. Our real Darus Salam, our real home, inshallah. That Allah intended for us and He intends for us, therefore He guided us, is Al-Jannah, to be back there. So Iman in Allah has been nicely, beautifully explained, elaborated. And at every level, at the layman's level, at the highest philosophical level, at the highest eloquence, balagha, you name it, this is the beautiful kalam of Allah. Then we find in Iman, we will find Iman bil Akhirah mentioned in this surah how many times? Who would like to suggest? Anybody in the audience? So I'm giving you tips on how to study the surahs. So you should read the whole surah with just this in mind. That how many times Allah mentioned Iman in Akhirah and resurrection, Ba'ath. Any guesses? Somebody guess 20 here. Anybody else? It's not close, no.
100.
No. So let me make the question more precise because maybe the question is too vague. Yeah, then it's not fair. The question is, how many incidents has Allah mentioned in this surah of resurrection? Let's make it very simple. Somebody says 2 here. Somebody says 3 here.
5.
Somebody says 5.
5. Yeah.
5. Very good. 5 incidents in this surah of Ba'as Ba'd al-Maut, of the resurrection after the death. 5 incidents mentioned. Sheikh Bilal, you want to tell us which ones there?
I think one is Ibrahim al-Islam, when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how you gonna resurrect people from dead, and then he asked him to gather the birds and slaughter them, put them on different mountains, and then call them. They will come to you running.
Very
That's
good.
one.
The other brother, sister, you should make note of this. So Sheikh Bilal, he's doing your work for you now, yeah? You just note it down, that's it. So one is Ibrahim alayhi salam's request to Allah, which will come later. Yes, Sheikh, carry on, Bismillah.
I'm no Sheikh. I'm a student of yours.
We are all Sheikh.
The second one, I remember. I don't remember all five of them, but I'll just
Whatever
mention
you can.
whatever I
Then
know.
whatever you forget, inshallah, Muslim will remind us.
Inshallah. Second one is Uzair alayhi salam, the Prophet of Allah. When he went to a place and he saw that that wadi, that valley was, the village was ruined, and then he asked, how you gonna resurrect people here? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, do you not believe? He said, I do. I just want to make my heart have halal of iman. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him to sleep for 100 years, and then he woke up, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala woke him up and asked him to see, look at his donkey. His donkey was dead, not just dead, consumed, and what you call the bones were all, he was decomposed. Yes,
Yeah,
the body was decomposed. Everything was gone. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, look at your ta'am, look at your food. It's still fresh. And look at your donkey. And then he said, call your donkey. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrected him in front of his eyes. That's the second incident. I think there's another one is Zul-Kifl. Is this correct?
In this surah?
In Surah Al-Baqarah, or no? Zul-Kifl, he came, I think they were 70,000 people.
This is coming today. This is coming today, inshallah.
Okay.
There are different reports, but you're right. Yes, there were thousands of people who.
Yeah, thousands of people. I think they were punished for some sin, and then he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they were resurrected. So is this correct? Yeah, three.
We will come to that, inshallah.
Okay.
There's a slight variation on that, but you're correct. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. The other two I can't recall at the moment. If somebody can remind.
About the incident of cow in the time of Musa alayhi salam.
Very good.
Yeah, that's the Baqarah, and I'm forgetting.
Baqarah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, mashallah.
Yeah.
And one more.
One more. I'm trying to recall. Sheikh Saab, you also tell us the last one.
No, man, this is not my job now. It's your job. I'm handing over the jobs to you. Good. Tajassus is good, eh? You want to think suspense. Good. And then you will study, inshallah. You will read and then, oh, subhanallah. Inshallah. Anyone else want to suggest the fifth one? But nicely killing the man is the one of the cow. Same one.
It's the one where the 70 people went on the hill.
Very good. The people who went to see Allah with Musa alayhi salam.
Yes.
Yeah? And then they were put to death, resurrected. Jazakumullah khairan. MashaAllah. Excellent. So this is Iman bil Akhirah. And the whole surah is Iman bil Risala. Whole surah. Whole Qur'an is Iman bil Risala. Because it is to believe in this message to be given to Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see? Very simple. And then for Islam, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned in this surah as-salat, and then the section on Saum, fasting, section on Hajj, and the zakat have been mentioned. And then many ahkam regarding our daily lives, social life, family life, economics, politics, legal aspects. All of these have been mentioned. You can see that how it all fits together. Currently, we were looking at divorce. Yeah, so this is a social family life, isn't it? And from that, we will find later on in the Quran the inheritance, etc. Then Shahada al-Nas is the central theme in the middle of the surah, that you have been chosen as ummatan wasatan litakunu shuhada'a ala nas, the best people who will convey this message. And for that you have to do infaq and qital and jihad. And now we are coming into this more, although it was mentioned earlier in the surah. It has been mentioned in the beginning, not in the beginning, yani earlier on. If you like one milestone, I don't know if that's the right word to use or not, but anyway, one place where we can stop and think about the surah is Ayatul Bir 177, because that is the Abwabul Bir, that is the surah, the ayah, which now leads to the other doors of goodness and good deeds. And then all of these ahkam, they are all elaborating Ayatul Bir. If you connect it, you connect it back to Ayatul Bir. So infaq has been mentioned earlier, and jihad has been mentioned earlier, and qital even has been mentioned, but it is just starting, preparing the believer's mind and heart and getting them ready. You see, so prep is very important, as you realize in life. Prep is very important for us. And then now we will see, inshallah, maybe not today, but we may start today, the ayat that now start to talk about qital and jihad and infaq, and then you will see them coming one after the other. Jihad mentioned and qital mentioned, then infaq mentioned, and then again jihad and qital and infaq mentioned, and then we will move on until we come to the opposite of jihad, of infaq, which is riba, riba, which is to hoard money. Instead of spending it on good causes, it is hoarding it for your own benefit, etc. So inshallah, just a quick summary for us to refresh our whole understanding of the surah, so that when we look at the ayat, inshallah, they will be very clear, bi'iznillahi ta'ala. Alhamdulillah. So now, let's start to look at the ayat which we want to look at now. I think this is too small maybe for you to see, so let's go to this one. I think this is easier, inshallah. So as we mentioned, we have been looking at the ayat about divorce, talaq, and the iddah, waiting period, and the different variations of that, etc. Now, after this section, so the scholars and the tafsir, they mention something very beautiful. They say that you should bracket ayat 153 up to this ayah, which is today's, we were starting 238, yeah? You bracket this. They both mention salah. Okay? Salah. Starts with salah, and this section is now, if you like, ending with salah. And then in between are all the ahkam. Okay? To emphasize, the Mufassirin mention, and the scholars, they mention that to show that the most important amal, action of obedience and worship, is as-salat, after the shahada. Yes, as-salat is the most important action after the shahada in a believer's life. And many things have been mentioned about this in Qur'an and in hadith about the importance of the salah. And you will find in the Qur'an 2 other places where the same style, usloob, has been used to emphasize as-salat. If you go to Surah Al-Mu'minun, if we just quickly reference it for our benefit, to become more, inshallah, holistic in our understanding of the Qur'an. So Surah Al-Mu'minun begins with قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that the true believers have already attained success. And the first quality of these successful believers is that they are humble in their prayer. And then other qualities are given, and then at the end of this bracket, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ, they protect and guard their prayers. So you see, beginning and the end of this section emphasizes as-salat, and then inside are all the other ahkam. And this is another tafsir of the ayah, inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, that indeed salat, it stops you from all types of obscenity and evil. And this is another beautiful example. And then another example of this is in Surah Al-Insan, if I'm not mistaken. Surah Al-Insan, where Allah Ta'ala, He mentions again the qualities of the true believers. Maybe this is the wrong ayah. Surah, sorry. Which surah is it? Ma'arij. The qualities of the true believers. Look at this. Musallin. Pray. People who pray, they are constant in their prayer. So this section now starts with the quality of the believers, starts with salah. And then you keep reading their qualities, which are very similar to the qualities in Surah Al-Mu'minun. And the section ends with وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. They carefully maintain the prayer. So 3 examples in the Quran you find, at least, maybe more, at least these 3 we have seen. I'm not sure if there are others, there may be others, wallahu alam. But 3 at least of the beginning and the end of a section is with as-salat. So the ayat we are looking at now is talking about as-salat and as-salat al-wusta. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين. And maintain and guard over your prayers, and especially the salat wusta, the middle prayer. وَقُمُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. And when you stand in prayer, you should stand as qanitin, those who are the most humble, ready to obey. They have the adab, the etiquette of humility and subservience, and they are ready to listen and obey. So let's break this down now, inshallah. Hafidhu. Hafidhu means you protect and you guard something which is precious, isn't it? You put your money in the bank, you don't leave it outside on the street. You guard it because it is precious. It is your wealth. You value it. Allah Ta'ala is saying you have to treat your salah as the most valuable action. So to make sure you pray as-salat, because Allah Ta'ala says aqimis salata li dhikri. You establish prayer in order to keep me in your mind and heart, so that you do not forget me. And when you remember me, I remember you. You forget me, then you are on your own. Yes? Abandon me, abandon the prayer, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that the difference between the believer and the disbeliever is the salah. The tarkus salah, to abandon the prayer, is the quality of a disbeliever. So hafidhu ala salawat, all of your prayers, the 5 prayers that have been prescribed to us, they have been mentioned not specifically by name in the Qur'an, but the time periods have been mentioned. The ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ and his sunnah is the source of knowledge where we attain the accuracy of the timing, the names, and the rak'ah, the units, and how and what do we pray and how we pray. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Sallu kama ra'aytamuni yusalli, you pray as you see me pray. The Prophet ﷺ has been sent to explain that. So you have to make sure you are in touch with Allah. And this is so important that Allah Ta'ala told us 5 times a day. You need it five a day. You know, this 5 a day. They say your fruit and veg, you need 5 a day. And now people are living for these 5 a day veg and fruit. Because some research mentioned something which Allah knows how accurate it is or not. But we blindly follow it. So Allah Ta'ala, He is giving us 5 a day. You need it. Why you need it? Because you need guidance. You say it in Surah Al-Mustaqim 5 times. Because we are in need of guidance. And then emphasis is on was-salatil wusta. Was-salatil wusta. The prayer which is the wusta prayer. Now, the word salat itself, we should know what does salah mean. As-salah is a dua. As-salah is a dua, technically. In the Qur'an, the essence of salah is dua. As the Prophet ﷺ said, ad-dua huwa al-ibadah. Or ad-dua mukhul ibadah. The essence of salah, the essence of worship is dua. And ad-dua is actually salah, and salah is dua. So this is the meaning of as-salat. But the other linguistic meaning of salah is to go towards something. Yaslan nar. They will be entered into the hell. A'udhu billah. To go towards something. Enter something, towards something. And the other is to gain the benefit from something. To gain the benefit. And to, like Musa alayhi salam, he went, when he was traveling back to Egypt, he saw people and he saw a big fire. And then he went to it, and then Allah Ta'ala mentions tastalun. He went there to attain the benefit of the fire. So this linguistically the meaning of salat. And the technical meaning is a dua, and then the more fiqhi meaning is to pray with all the conditions and the arkan, and then the wajibat, and the sunnah, and the mustahab, and the nafil, etc., etc. How to pray exactly, the conditions before, during, and after the salah. So as-salatul wusta, so you should read Tafseer Ibn Kathir on this. It's a very long discussion on this, Salatul Wusta. Many opinions on this. There's opinion that it is Fajr, there's opinion that is Zohar, there's opinion that it is Asr, there's opinion that is Maghrib, there's opinion that is Isha. Many opinions about this. And you will see the dalil they give, the reasons they give there as well. But the Jamhur opinion is that Salatul Wusta is the Salat of Asr. Salatul Asr. And the proofs have been given in the tafsir of the ahadith, etc., that support this. And at the end of the day, Allah knows best. So Salatul Wusta, the prayer, Asr prayer, because this is the time, those are the scholars, they mention this as a tabbur. This is the time when we are, Asr time is the shortest time. Yeah, because this is when the sun is just about, it's starting to decline now. Yeah. And this time is the time where everything now has to quickly end. So people usually at this point, they are very they are very busy. They are very much indulgent in whatever they are doing. So this is a time where it's very easy to forget to pray. Asr time. The other reason for this given is the other opinion about Salatul Wusta, which is interesting, is because this can refer to any of the 5 prayers. It is actually mentioning not the actual time of prayer. Wusta is talking about the quality of the prayer. You understand that, yeah? So instead of saying Salat al-Wusta is referring to the time of prayer, whether it is Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, etc., the opinion here is, it is a tadabbur more than an opinion of some scholars. Wusta is referring really to, even if it's referring to any or all salahs, it's actually also talking about the quality, which is the wusta. So now in this surah, Allah Ta'ala mentions ummatan wasatan. Or is it the next surah, Abdullah? Is it here or the next surah? Al Imran, next surah. Ummatan wasatan. Ummatan wasatan, one of the meanings of wasatan is the best. The best. So as-salat al-wusta means all your prayers, they should all be the best prayer. As the Prophet ﷺ said, pray as you, this is your last prayer. So we take Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay. So ummatan wasatan, their prayer should be wusta as well, the best prayer. So we should combine all of this meaning together, because all of it, alhamdulillah, adds to the meaning that every prayer we should pray, not be negligent, and try to be the best. Every prayer should try to be the best. And the kayfiyah of the prayer, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, stand in absolute obedience and adab, manners and humility in front of Allah. So, and you are ready to obey. Yeah, ready to obey. This is a quality that Allah likes, obedience. And shaitan, he has told us obedience is slavery. You're free. You see this? Psychology of the human being now is being made by this Iblisi system of people that, oh, you are not subservient to anybody. You are free. Yeah. So this is absolutely wrong. In front of Allah, we are all qanitin, whether we want to or not. Everything is prostrating to Allah. Wasjudu lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Everything, it is bowing down to Allah. Whether you like to or not, you are bowing down to Allah. Even the shadows of the trees and mountains, they bow to Allah. So, stand in front of Allah, qanitin. The other tafsir mentions that qanitin here means before this, these ayat and the instructions were given to the Prophet ﷺ to remain silent in the prayer, the Sahaba were allowed to respond to each other in the prayer. So they could have a necessary conversation in the prayer. It was not forbidden to be silent in the prayer before, but now qanitin is you have to be silent in the prayer, and you have to be focused on just your prayer. So you cannot focus here or there. And so just as it is important to focus in your own prayer, it is just as important to allow others to remain focused in the prayer. Qanitin. So therefore you should not go in front of somebody. Yes, because you would distract their prayer, etc. And you should not distract people from the prayer. This is the job of shaitan. There is a shaitan by the name of Khanzab. Khanzab, if I remember correctly, that he is assigned his job is, as soon as the believer starts to pray, his job is, let me try and distract the believer from prayer. So anybody who distracts people from praying, then of course this is not a good quality, is it? So prayer has been mentioned here as the most important act of worship, and you have to pray as long as you are able, conscious, and you are baligh, you are mature, you have to pray. The only time when you would be exempt from prayer is you have lost your mind, you are majnoon, or you are under the age, or you are sleeping. Yes, rufi al-qalam, the pen has been lifted, but this doesn't mean you purposely sleep for the prayer time. This means by mistake, if you slept because you were not aware, or you as a human being, you are weak. Other than that, there's no reason to leave the prayer, except of course for the ladies and their cycle, etc. So Allah Ta'ala is emphasizing now regarding the prayer, after telling us that the prayer has to be guarded. فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ, if you are in a situation of fear when you are confronting the enemy. This is all leading up to jihad and qital, preparation. You will come to a time where you will not be able to pray. So Allah Ta'ala is already telling us what you will do. What will be your approach to prayer when you cannot pray? You have to be vigilant against the enemy. فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ فَرِجَالًا أَوْ رُكْبَانًا, and you are standing. Rijalan can mean standing. It can mean also that you are walking. Rijal are your feet or your legs. Or rukbanan, or you are mounted on something to ride on. So you may be on a horse, a camel, a goat, not a goat, a donkey, or you may be on a car, on a bike, motorbike, jet engine, fighter jet plane, against the enemy. You may be the tank driver in the enemy, against the enemy, So you cannot stop your prayer. You pray, but you will pray فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. You pray as much as you can. So you will pray by signing with your eyes even, or just your head, bowing a little bit for ruku, bowing further for sujood. Yes, but the prayer has to be prayed. You have to pray. There's no exception. Yes, you have to pray. You cannot leave the prayer at any cost, even in the battlefield. But however, فَإِذَا أَمِنْتُمْ, but when you find peace, so the situation has become easier for you, you are not under siege or under threat. فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَمَا عَلَّمَكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. Then you remember Allah, meaning you pray to Allah, because zikr, salah is all about remembering Allah. As Allah Ta'ala, He has taught you, and you didn't know how to pray before that. The Prophet ﷺ, he has taught you how to pray, the way Allah wants you to pray to Him. So you pray fully as you should, with the standing, the bowing, the prostration, and you pray bil jama'ah, together in the jama'ah. So this is the norm, but under abnormal circumstances, you pray as ever, in whatever situation you can pray, but you don't forget to pray. You don't leave the prayer. Very important. Moving on, then the next section then returns to the previous topic of the divorced women, or the women who have lost their husband. وَالَّذِينَ يُتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ وَيَذَرُونَ أَزْوَاجًا وَصِيَّةً لِأَزْوَاجِهِمْ مَتَاعًا إِلَى الْحَوْلِ غَيْرَ إِخْرَاجٍ فَإِنْ خَرَجْنَ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِيمَا فَعَلْنَ فِي أَنفُسِهِنَّ مِنْ مَعْرُوفٍ وَاللَّهُ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. And those who are taken in death among you, and you leave wives behind, then for their wives is a will, maintenance for 1 year without turning them out of their homes, of their husband. But if they leave of their own accord, if they like to leave on their own decision, then there's no blame upon you for what they do with themselves in an acceptable manner. And Allah is Aziz, exalted, Hakim, wise. So this is talking about the situation when a widow, before, and this is before the legislation of inheritance, which will come later in Surah An-Nisa, where the ayat of inheritance, as I mentioned here in 234 and ayat and Surah An-Nisa ayat 12. These ayat 234 of this and 412 of Surah An-Nisa, they are the nasikh, They are the abrogators. Those ayat, I mentioned once in one of the lessons, the science of Nasikh and Mansukh. I gave you some notes on that, inshallah. Because in this surah, we mentioned the ayah, Ma nansakh min ayatin aw nunsiha. What is that after that, Abdullah? I can't understand. Na'ti bi khairin minha aw mithliha. So Allah Ta'ala has already told us this principle that in the Qur'an there will be ayat that He will abrogate. And this is one such example. And in this surah there have been a few abrogations. You will find this in this surah about Nasikh Mansukh. So when the laws of inheritance came, then there is no need to write a will, because the writing of wills was there before the inheritance. Has not been stipulated by Allah. But now, because it has been stipulated, it has been legislated, then there's no need to write a will, because there are fixed portions. So therefore, no need for this. وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ مَتَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ حَقًّا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And Allah Ta'ala, He's now ending the whole section on the rights and obligations towards the divorced women by an open statement, an arm, this is arm, open statement, walil mutallaqat, all types of divorced women. Yeah, so in this surah we looked at many types of divorced women, yeah? Divorce after first divorce or second or third, or by giving mahar, by just doing the nikah but no relationship, or doing the nikah, no relationship, and no mahar had been set, etc. All of these, Allah Ta'ala is saying, it is good to give all of those, the due right for them to provision for the wives once they are divorced. This is a right on the believers. The believing men, they should give this to the believing women as a right, as a duty. كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تعقلون. And this is how Allah Ta'ala, He has clarified and explained for you all of His ahkam. Ayatihi here would mean ahkam. So you should appreciate that the word ayah can mean different things in different places. Yeah? When Musa alayhi salam was given tis'a ayatin, it doesn't mean he was given 9 laws, does it? What does it mean? He was given 9 what? No.
Miracles.
Miracles. He was given 9 miracles. Yes?
Yeah. It also means signs, isn't it?
Yes. It also means signs. And it also means laws. So therefore we should understand that inshallah, as we are studying Qur'an, that a word, really in the Arabic you understand it, appreciate it, really. In the English, very limited the way we can understand it. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, you should think about this and you should be sensible, use your aql under the guidance of wahi. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, aql, your intelligence, your brain, your mind, your rationality should be used under the guidance of Allah, the creator of this intelligence. The aql is a means, the means to recognize the truth and follow the truth. Aql is not the leader. Today we are being told you aql is the leader. No, aql is not the leader. Aql is the means to find the truth and follow it. So after this lengthy section on the ahkam, we see that now the topic is going to change to qital and infaq and jihad. And intertwined with this whole infaq, which is to spend, jihad, which is to struggle, and qital, which is to fight for the just cause, is this human instinct of loving life, loving wealth. Yeah? Allah Ta'ala, He is now programming the believers on how to see those things that you instinctively love. حب الشهوات من النساء والقناطير والمقنطرة من الذهب what is it? So all of these, they are the affiliations you have, affection and affinity and love, and you have this attraction towards these things. Allah Ta'ala, He is putting in all of this to ease for us to see in these ayat. We take inshallah maybe just this one ayah. ألم تر إلى الذين خرجوا من ديارهم وهم ألوف حذر الموت. Have you not thought about? So alam tara here doesn't mean did you not see, because you didn't see. You were not there to see. Alam tara means that don't you know? Didn't you ponder? Didn't you think about? إلى الذين خرجوا من ديارهم, the people who left their own homes. وهم ألوف, they were in the thousands. حذر الموت, because they feared death. But the fear of death caused these people to leave. So now there are different opinions in the Tafseer. One opinion mentions that this is regarding the Bani Israel, and when they were told to fight in the way of Allah against the Amalek, they said to Musa alayhi salam, you and your Rabb, you fight, we will sit here. Yeah, because they are Jabbar, they are very, very monstrous people, we cannot fight them. So they, out of the fear of this, they left. This is one opinion. Or another opinion is they left out of the fear of jihad or qital generally, or the other is they left out of the fear of an epidemic that had spread in the area, so they fled from there fearing that they would die if they stayed here. But when they left, Allah Ta'ala فَقَالَ لَهُمُ اللَّهُ مُوتُوا, Allah Ta'ala, He put them to death. He said, die. And they died. To tell us that you cannot run away from death if it has been written for you. Don't fear the death. It does not mean that you are silly and ignorant and foolish and you jump to your death. That doesn't mean that. It means that when you have been given a just cause, for the just reason to get rid of fitna. Yeah, remember we mentioned in this surah, al-fitnatu ashaddu min al-qatl. Then you should not fear death. Don't think you're not going to fight will save you. How do you know? Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Qur'an. How do you think you can just avert death even if you are in the fortified castles, Quran Muhassana? You cannot run away from the death when it comes. So don't do that. So Allah Ta'ala said to them, Mutu, all of you die, and then Thumma ahyahum, then Allah Ta'ala, He brought them back all to life. So this is the story that our Sheikh Bilal was mentioning. In the tafsir, there is no certainty of who and what it was, but the tafsir mentions a messenger called Hazaqil. Hazaqil. That he saw that these people were dead, thousands of them, and he prayed to Allah, oh Allah, bring them back to life. And so Allah Ta'ala, He brought them back to life. Wallahu alam. Just, it doesn't matter. The actual incident is not important. The message is what is important, that Allah, He can bring back to life the dead, and you should not fear the death if you are on the right path. Inna Allah ladu fadlin ala nas. Allah Ta'ala, He is so bountiful for His humanity. He wants to give you the opportunity to get the best bounty in the hereafter and in this dunya by giving the opportunity to face injustice. وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. But unfortunately, most people, they do not appreciate this, they do not realize this, that it is in their own benefit by following Allah Ta'ala. They follow their fear that, oh, we don't want to fight, we will die. We don't want to give this, we may lose, etc. Allah Ta'ala is saying, you don't fear anything. If you follow my instructions, وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. You'll have no fear, no regrets about anything. But if you follow other than that, then of course you are then to your own affairs. So, and the next ayah, it says, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah Ta'ala is saying, so therefore you should fight in the cause of Allah, because Allah Ta'ala, He knows, and you should know that Allah Ta'ala, He hears and He sees and He knows everything, what you are doing and what you are not doing, and what you will do and what will happen to you. And with that, we will end for today, inshallah.